What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we are reacting to Film Theory and the Avatar Cycle. Now, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, if you don't know what Avatar is, in basic summary, it's just think of it similar to Naruto, but with foreign lands focusing on 4 different elements. And there's one being who can use all 4 at the same time. While normally it's only one person could use a single element. And then there's like these elements that can be further evolved, like earth can lead to magma, water can lead to ice, and so on and so forth. I think you kind of get the point there. But anyway, the subject on Avatar is pretty interesting. I remember seeing it when I was late elementary school to like, yeah, just like around that time period, I think. It wasn't a bad series overall. Had some good character development here and there. And it's a mixture of being very serious, but also very funny at the same time. Though after, that's like a kid thing, but after like rewatching it because it's on Netflix now, go ahead and see it if you haven't. But still, it does leave some questionable stuff about the Avatar itself. And the supposed role that the Avatar is supposed to play. Because basically, the Avatar is the person that will bring peace and all that. And honestly, it sounds very dumb, because like this is a reincarnation that happens over and over and over again. And I think they're just going to explain it in this, but the role of it is just very, yeah, I'll just go over it after it's explained. There's just so much to say about this, and especially with the sequel of this series, of the Avatar series, which is The Legend of Korra, and that's that's a whole other can of worms to discuss, but yeah, it's not bad. I mean, the first part was just a bit shaky, like the first few episodes in, but then you really start to get into it. And all that, you get really drawn into the series, and it has a really good ending, in my opinion. It fills in some holes and explanations that you don't really get at the beginning of, well, Avatar itself, but yeah. And they don't really go into discussion about that, so further stuff to go on. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided. hit the notification button, be notified immediately when a new video comes out. The link to this video will be down in the description below, so be sure to give Film Theory some love and support for the video they made. Anything else? I think I told you this. I think I already said to subscribe and all that, but yeah, be sure to subscribe. Just hit the red button if it's there and turn it gray to support the channel and all that. If you have any videos you want to recommend, leave it down in the comment section below. And other than that, let's start this video, shall we?
Film, food. Long ago, the 4 channels lived together in harmony, but
Right. A possible 4th channel. Honestly, I think it should be Book Theory, because literally, he goes ahead and does books, so might as well do that. I mean, he already has film, food, game, and film technically counts for TV shows and movies, and food theory always tackles any subject related to food, and games are very much games, so might as well do books, because he does books on FNAF and all that, so might as well.
then everything changed when the YouTube algorithm attacked. Only MatPat, master of all 4 theories, could bring balance to the channels. But when YouTube needed him most, he vanished. But I believe that MatPat can save the world.
It's hilarious that they actually managed to do that. Like, they actually put together a thing where it's exactly like Avatar, so I find that really hilarious in my opinion.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's here to reveal your secret power, subscription bending. Try it out. Click the button below the video to transform it. Now, I don't know.
Okay, I'll admit that's a bit funny.
Nothing's perfect. Almost anything can be improved upon in one way or another, but up there with Chrono Trigger, The Lord of the Rings, and the sweet, delicious
Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger? Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger. Nah, I thought I had something, but no, I got nothing.
Coke is Avatar: The Last Airbender. If ever there was a perfect animated series, it might just be Avatar. In case you need a bit of a refresher, in the world of Avatar, people live in one of 4 nations, each built around one of the 4 traditional elements. You have the water tribes at the North and South Poles, the vast Earth Kingdom that covers most of the world's landmass, the industrious and aggressive Fire Nation, and the elusive, flighty air nomad monks.
Yeah, they live in the mountain areas to be one with the wind. Honestly, it's a great series. It's just the concept of how the series started and the role of the Avatar character this time around in this life. Oh, by the way, the Avatar reincarnates, but this reincarnation, well, it's crazy.
Some people are born with the ability to bend one of these 4 elements, but only one person can master all 4 of them. That one person is known as the Avatar, and is tasked with keeping the world in balance. As the very first Avatar, Juan explains,
"This is my mission, to use Rava's light spirit to guide the world toward peace."
Each Avatar is born into a cycle, water to earth to fire to air, so that when the previous Avatar dies,
Oh, so that's how it works. So air goes to water, water goes to earth, earth goes to fire, fire goes to air. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Though I have to admit this, sounds a bit dull, in a way. I mean, look what you got. Peace. Okay. But then it started a war, so. Because the Avatar is like this all powerful being, so. Lots stuff to say about that.
A new one is born in the next nation. And over the course of the various seasons, we watch as this exact cycle plays out. Avatar Kyoshi from the Earth Kingdom gives way to Roku from the Fire Nation, who then dies and opens the door to Aang from the Air Nomads, and finally Avatar Korra from the Water Tribe. It's a great setup that allows for stories and characters outside of the original series to be explored, expanding the world even further. I mean, that's basically what happened with the sequel series, The Legend of Korra, and it appears to be Nickelodeon's strategy with the franchise moving forward. There have been multiple novels and comic books dedicated to other avatars and supporting characters. They've even established an entire production studio devoted to more Avatar content. Rumor has it that a bunch of this new stuff.
Yeah, like the Avatar live action movie. It freaking sucked, so don't even watch that shit. It's like the Death Note live action movie. Fucking sucks.
Stuff is going to focus on different avatars too.
And Dragon Ball Evolution, that one was a nightmare. I actually have 3 of them. Yeah, I have to say that Dragon Ball Evolution was probably the worst. At least the other 2 kept into the subject and the matter at hand. That one just went way off course. That really hurt me as a Dragon Ball fan.
Aang and Korra, as well as the fan favorite Kyoshi, but also the next Avatar that we haven't even met yet. There's even a live-action Netflix series on the way. Here's hoping it goes.
No. Fuck. No more live action. No more live action. They failed once and it was awful.
Was better than the last one.
He was bending tiny stones at us from behind a tree. It really hurt.
Anyway, in my excitement.
Freaking A.
New Avatar content, I decided to go rewatch the series and catch up on a bunch of the spin-off stories that they've released over the years. And you know what, theorists? The more and more I look, the more and more I realize that having an avatar sucks. This world is...
Not really. Though, if we have to be technical about Avatar The Last Airbender, yeah. I mean, with all this explained and the reincarnation talked about, the Avatar in the Avatar The Last Airbender, you got like this character Aang, who's the current Avatar. Everyone knows about what the duty of the Avatar is. It's just something they have to do, whether they like it or not. And while I can sympathize with the fact that one shouldn't like being the Avatar, since that responsibility is very, very harsh. It went bad in more ways than one, considering the fact that Aang ran away from his home just because he learned he was the Avatar. And he was just trying to skip that duty. While I can sympathize that not being the Avatar is a thing anyone should have wanted at first. But running away is definitely not going to be the option to help. Considering the fact that it led to a very, very bad war, and everyone just either gave up or was hoping that the Avatar just appear. I mean, there was some places of the Earth Kingdom, but still, they just, when the Avatar wasn't around, they just kind of just gave up. And that just, it's very dumb. Because the Avatar isn't, like, the most important thing that your life has to involve around that person. They are human, no matter how much one would say otherwise. And that kind of makes people not that much independent, in my opinion.
Is so much worse because of the Avatar cycle. When you
Yes, it
really
is.
break down what each Avatar does during their life and how it compares to what each Avatar is supposed to be doing, you'll realize that each and every
Oh,
one
yeah.
of them has largely failed. Enough so that
Yeah, each Avatar had their ups and downs, but really they're downs. I mean, Ryoku, I don't mind him. He was alright. Accepting of his duty as the Avatar, going to fulfill it. It's just the end. He could have literally stopped the war, but, you know, ugh. And the fact that all the nations were separated after so freaking long, and it took Aang actually doing something. A kid that's not even in his late teens doing something that the others failed. So, yeah, screw the other avatars. Aang just kicked their ass in achievements. And while some might say some are awe-inspiring, yeah, okay, but they're not really the best people for Avatar, and some of them have very, very selfish
you
desires.
kind of gotta ask, is it even worth having an Avatar at all? Hop
No.
aboard your flying bison.
That's the thing about the subject. Storyline, it's okay, it's good, but when you look outside an outside point, it just leaves you with some doubt. I mean, when I was a kid, seeing the series for the first time, I didn't pay attention to all this information. Then going back over it, and then seeing all this, going over everything, reading some stuff about the subject, and then so on and so forth, along with seeing all these different forms of anime and TV shows about similar yet different subjects, and it just leads some eye-opening stuff.
And pour out some cactus juice, loyal theorists.
And I think he's gonna really go over those parts that I believe is gonna be the true fact of why the Avatar cycle isn't really a need.
I'm about to bend your ear over this broken ancient tradition. Let's start by setting our ground rules, shall we? Remember, the whole thing about the Avatar is that their main goal is to keep the world in balance, both physically and spiritually. What exactly that means could be up for debate, but the way I see it, an Avatar's duties largely break down into four main tasks. 1, helping keep international peace between the four nations. 2, helping keep internal peace within each of those nations. 3,
Yeah,
protecting
seems about
innocent
right.
people and bringing justice to the unjust. And 4, bridging bridging the gap between the human world and the spirit world. So let's just start at the beginning of our list. One of the main parts of an avatar's duty is to help keep international peace between the four nations, and admittedly, some of them are good at it. For instance, we see that Aang has helped to set up an international government to help the four nations stay at peace with each other. But literally from the opening seconds of the show, we know that at least one avatar had a major oopsie in this field.
The four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
The whole premise of the entire franchise starts with a giant international war, and it all happened because of the failure of the Avatars. On one hand, we could blame Aang, who ran away from his duties, which in turn opened up a power vacuum that allowed the 100-Year War to...
Yeah, that's the thing. 100-Year War. It sucks. And he did run away from his duty. But the thing is, he never asked to be the Avatar. He didn't want to be the Avatar. I think, if I remember right, because I only seen that, like, the Avatar series again during when COVID started. Like, a couple months, like 3, 4. I only started seeing it after that amount of time. But you get into that, and then you go like, and then when you go into his past and all this, you just realize he didn't want to be the Avatar. He didn't want the responsibility. He couldn't see himself doing this, and he didn't think he was the right person for the job. Understandable, but running away from the problem isn't really gonna help, sadly. It never does. The thing is, though, when you're stuck at an impasse and you don't know what to do, you're gonna have to really think about it, because some people out there just don't know what to do on the subject of what to do. Even if there are many options, it just leaves, is it the right thing? Wait, where did I go with this? Oh, right, yeah. Aang didn't want to be an Avatar. It was obvious through his flashbacks. He didn't want the responsibility, he didn't want that kind of stuff. He didn't see himself as someone wanting to do it. He would be happy if someone else within his home was the Avatar, going to do all this and all that. But also the fact that he knows the responsibility of it, and he was a freaking kid. He's a kid. He's not in his late teens. He's not near 20. He's not even, like, if I'm correct, he's not even 18, if I'm correct. And he's young, and he was supposed to take the responsibility that he was the one to stop the war, stop the conflict, possibly kill a man. You don't just go up to someone and just literally said, "You're gonna kill this person." So yeah, I understand why Aang ran away, but is it the smartest one? No. It's really not, because the war could have been prevented a lot sooner, but things happen. Now, Ryoku. Ooh. He was alright, he did his job, he did well. It's just around the end of his life, things just were really bad there. I mean, he could have prevented 100-Year War, but no.
To begin, but he was also literally 12 years old at the time, so it's kind
Exactly.
of fault him for that one. Instead, the true failure falls to Aang's predecessor, Avatar Roku.
Oh, I thought it was Ryoku. Who was I thinking of that's Ryoku? Sorry for the mistaken name, but Roku, yeah, I can actually say it is his fault because the last part of his life, like, he trained, he learned, he understand, and all this and all that. But the end, the end of his life, he could have stopped the war, but he didn't.
Roku was childhood friends with Fire Lord Sozin, the Fire Lord who started the war. And what's worse, Roku knew that Sozin wanted to conquer these other nations.
I've been thinking, we should share this prosperity with the rest of the world. In our hands is the most successful empire in history. It's time we expanded it.
So what did Roku do to stop it? Yeah, he basically gave Sozin a slap on the wrist and a stern talking to. By his own admission, Roku's indecisiveness, and let's be honest, favoritism to his friend and home nation, was a huge weakness which ultimately led to tons of unnecessary death.
In my life, I tried to be disciplined and show restraint, but it backfired. If I had been more decisive and acted sooner, I could have stopped Sozin and stopped the war before it started.
Instead, his actions led to Sozin's betrayal, his own death, and a war that lasted generations. His failure led to the complete annihilation of the Air Nation, as well as all the loss of life that comes with a war of conquest. It's not exactly gonna be making Watch Mojo's top 10 list of moments that brought balance to the world. And here's the thing, we don't have to...
Yeah. I mean, and that's just Roku. I don't know why I'm thinking Ryoku. I don't know why. But that's the thing about this. That's just Roku. All the other avatars also have very, very bad points to them.
Look at Roku or Aang to see the Avatar's failures here. In the prequel novels, we learned that Avatar Zito, the Fire Nation avatar before Roku, was born into a time of great strife for the nation. And instead of working internationally like most other avatars, Zito decided to focus on the domestic politics, becoming a bureaucrat within the Fire Nation to help his people. Though he helped shepherd the Fire Nation back to prosperity, he did this at the expense of all the other nations. This eventually led to an event known as the Platinum Affair, shortly after his death, which saw the Fire Nation and Water Tribes secretly backing a challenger to the Earth Kingdom throne. When this was discovered, it led to all three nations becoming incredibly isolationist. Because of this, Zito's immediate successor, the air nomad avatar Yang Chen, would look back on Zito's legacy as messy. So, as you can already start to see,
yeah, that was a thing. It sucked. And it led to problems which spread it to the other avatars and all their duties. Kyoshi didn't really help either, so
having one person
I think I
solely
said the name
responsible for
right.
policing the entire bending world is like an impossible task. Time is going to be the Avatar's most limited resource, and the decisions that they make on how to spend that time inevitably means that they're going to have to sacrifice one major part of their duty. Obviously, for Zito, focusing all of his attention on bringing prosperity to the Fire Nation meant that he let conflict arise within other kingdoms with the Platinum Affair. We see a similar situation arise in the Avatar Kyoshi books. The Avatar before her had a singular focus on dealing with the spiritual duties of the role. This meant that he neglected his responsibilities as a politician. His neglect of the physical world allowed the Earth Kingdom to become destabilized by infighting, and Kyoshi was basically forced to spend her entire life cleaning up that mess. But don't feel too bad for her, she caused even more problems than she solved. Case in point, Chin the Conqueror. Now, this guy was a warlord standing up against a corrupted king. That said, Chin was far from a hero. As Kyoshi herself says,
a horrible tyrant. Chin was expanding his army to all corners of the continent.
This seems like the exact sort of situation where an avatar should stand up and help make peace, right? A rebellion is threatening to destabilize an entire kingdom, and both sides are led by awful people. The keeper of peace and balance should probably be looking into solving this issue. Even Kyoshi herself says,
Chin the Conqueror threatened to throw the world out of balance.
There's that word, balance. So what did Kyoshi do to stop Chin? Nothing. Literally nothing. Chin was able to conquer almost the entire continent.
Oh,
Kyoshi
yeah.
only decided to step in when he showed up at her doorstep to take over the peninsula that she called home.
I warned him that I would not sit passively while he took our home.
Yeah, sure, Kyoshi. Looks like you were getting right to that. So, now that Chin is literally right in front of her, you would think that this is a good opportunity to try and stop his conquest and restore balance to the Earth Kingdom. Nope! Kyoshi uses her power to disconnect the peninsula from the...
Yeah. So, yeah. No, that's awful. So if any avatar really just says they should fulfill their duty and kill someone, and if I'm literally the avatar, I'll call them all fucking hypocrites, because literally, this is the bullshit that my predecessors would have to dealt with, and did. So, no. I don't see a positive to this. I see bull. Because honestly, the most successful ones were... Actually, I can't say Aang and Korra were very successful in their duties as Avatar either, because it also went down.
the mainland and then
Because they
proceeds to
caused
yeet
problems
it
too.
out into the middle of the ocean. Seriously, in what's arguably the most impressive display for an avatar's powers that we see throughout the entire franchise, all Kyoshi does is pull a giant I'ma head out. Chin's conquest was only stopped because he was too stubborn to get out of Kyoshi's way, falling to his death as Kyoshi Island was being formed.
But I assure you, I would have done whatever it took to stop Chin.
Really, Kyoshi? Sure looks like you got some massive revisionist history going on there, because you didn't do a gosh darn thing in the months leading up to him coming to your peninsula. And that philosophy runs deep in the village that Kyoshi leaves behind. Towards the beginning of The Last Airbender, Team Avatar lands on Kyoshi Island, where the guiding wisdom of all the Kyoshi stands is, yeah, it's not my problem.
Kyoshi stayed out of the war so far, and we intend to keep it that way.
Heck, even the Earth Kingdom capital's catchphrase, "There's no war in Ba Sing Se," follows the same attitude. Ignore the problem. Deny. Close your eyes, and it just goes away. Admittedly, things seem to go much better under Roku's tenure. And after Aang ends the 100-Year War, things again seem to go smoothly. But under Korra, there's civil conflict after civil conflict. She was Avatar during the Water Tribe Civil War. Under her watch, the Red Lotus assassinates the Earth Queen. And in the aftermath, Korra's inaction due to injury and PTSD lets Kuvira seize control of a great deal of the Earth Kingdom.
Yeah, not the best role. That's why I'm saying, it's alright. Because when it comes to younger me, I was just all like, oh, this is all cool stuff going on. All this action. But now that I'm older and mature, I can actually say some of the stuff was, well, gosh dang awful. Everything just went completely downhill. And PTSD. Really? If that's the case, what about... Then again, Aang didn't really experience murder. So... no, wait, technically he got killed and brought back to life. Then almost died again due to his stubbornness and bullheadedness, but yeah. A lot of problems.
Track record and a long sequence of avatars dropping the ball. So now let's move on to our next criteria: protecting the innocent and bringing justice to the unjust. This one's a bit harder to judge because we don't see a lot of the day-to-day lives of each avatar. And while yeah, we do see some heroic moments like Aang fighting a cone and Korra chasing down Bender criminals in the streets of Republic City, there's a rotten core here that starts to peek through the deeper we get into the franchise. Most of the Legend of Korra's plot revolves around the idea of justice and what it takes to defend everyone. Korra's first major adversary, Amon, is the leader of a group called the Equalists, who are all about leveling the playing field between benders and non-benders by taking away the ability to bend. Sound insane? It is, but the movement is shown to resonate with a lot of Republic City's...
Well, it makes sense if you think about it. There's people that can bend, and there's people that can't bend. Can and can't. And those that can bend sometimes abuse their power on the people that can't bend at all. So, yeah, it's a big thing to actually consider. So of course that's going to be a problem. It never mattered before because it was war, and everyone was trying to do everything to help each other out and try to protect each other, survive, and all that. But now that peace has finally been brought back, and now all the nations are together and working in harmony and all that, but it leads to one big problem, and that would be that sometimes those with the power will tend to abuse those with no power.
Citizens. Life in the world of Avatar can be incredibly hard for non-benders, even in the new supposedly harmonious.
Oh yeah, the cabbage guy. Feel bad for that guy every time I hear about his cabbages.
That Aang created. If you're a bender, you have easy access to jobs. Power plants use firebenders to operate, trains are powered by earthbenders, and policemen are almost exclusively metal benders. Benders also have a much easier time committing acts of violence, as we're frequently shown groups of violent benders like the Triple Threat Triad, the Red Lotus, heck, even the Republic City Police, who treat the use of force like it's second nature. Non-benders are overlooked, they're ignored, they're frequently threatened. In one particular scene, Republic City's metal bending police force hurt a group of non-benders like cattle, using force to break up a non-violent protest. These people are targeted because the police force has turned off the power to their homes, and they're peacefully resisting being profiled as members of Amon's uprising just because they aren't benders. A woman in the crowd makes a desperate plea for Korra's help, saying,
"Please help us. You're our avatar too."
And Korra does help, kinda. Unfortunately for the common people, Korra considers the issue resolved after she outs Amon as a bender and a fraud, effectively derailing a movement that began and grew thanks to a genuine concern from a huge portion.
No, that you would think that, but no.
Republic City's non-bending population. So that one doesn't look all that great for Korra. But when you think about it, this is Aang's city. He created the system that Korra inherited. In fact, this goes well beyond just Korra and Aang. The imbalance between benders and non-benders is a failure of every avatar before them who popped up or exploited the same system. Which brings us back to Kyoshi, who honestly might have been the worst of the bunch. See, Kyoshi had herself a rough childhood. She was an orphan working as a servant until it was discovered that she was the Avatar. She later joined a criminal gang that was founded by her parents, and it's not like they suddenly stopped doing crimes after the Avatar joined. Nope, they decided to involve Kyoshi in the crimes. And that's not all. Kyoshi's youthful anger heavily informed her way of thinking. Even after learning that she was the Avatar, her thoughts were more centered on revenge than duty. The Rise of Kyoshi states that, quote, her hunger to learn all four elements had nothing to do with becoming a fully realized Avatar. Fire, air, and water were simply more weapons she could bring to bear on a single target, end quote. And much later in her life, she was so unbothered by taking a life that she didn't see a difference between accidents and intentional killings.
You didn't really kill Shin. Technically, he fell to his own doom because he was too stubborn to get out of the way.
Personally, I don't really see the difference.
As for protecting the innocent, here again we have some problems. In Shadow of Kyoshi, threatens to crush a mother and her adult son to death with a boulder while trying to squeeze a false confession out of them for something they didn't do. But her single worst decision is revealed in the canonical Flash game Escape from the Spirit World. It's here that Kyoshi confesses to Aang her biggest failure. See, one of the Earth Kings during Kyoshi's life was incredibly unpopular. His leadership was seen as ineffective and corrupt, and it eventually led to a peasant uprising against him. During the riots, the king ordered Kyoshi to put the uprising down, and to her credit, she refused. Instead, she encouraged the king to listen to the grievances of the people and find compromise. Seems pretty good so far, right? But here's the thing. Kyoshi admits that she didn't like the people standing up against the kingdom. In fact, throughout the whole story, Kyoshi seems less concerned about the human rights abuses committed by the king, and more concerned that the peasants are destroying historical artifacts and upsetting the stability of the monarchy. So, in exchange for the king listening to his people and ending the riots, Kyoshi agrees to train an elite group of earthbenders for him. They would be, quote, silent, precise, and feared by all. It was a force that would eventually be known as the Dai Li. Yep, you remember those creepy secret police from the animated series? The ones with the rock gloves whose loyalty could be bought and sold and who sided with Azula and the Fire Nation during...
Right. actually forgot about them. Yeah, so basically, if any avatar tries to listen to her, no, don't listen to her. Never listen to her.
During the invasion of Ba Sing Se, they were Kyoshi's idea. She even admits that she regrets not foreseeing the long-term consequences of giving future Earth Kingdom monarchs access to an elite secret police force. But here's the thing, that move didn't make sense even in her time period. This king, the one that was ready to crush his own people, he shouldn't have had access to that secret police force either. Imagine what he would have had him do to the peasants if they were around to begin with. Then again, when you're as powerful as Kyoshi and you treat your powers like a big old hammer, I guess everything looks like a nail. So again, for a lot of the avatars, protecting the innocent and bringing justice to the unjust is just a bust. So that's 3 for 3 where a ton of avatars failed. But what about our fourth criteria here? Bridging the gap and keeping the peace between the human and spirit worlds. This is basically the thing that avatars are supposed to be good at. Surely there isn't a leg.
No, they failed there too. I mean, do I have to mention the Legend of Korra, mentioning the dark spirits and all that?
See a failure here too? Well, you would think, and then you would be wrong. We hear in the prequel novel dedicated to Avatar Yang Chen that when humans and spirits came into conflict, she would strike bargains that would get the spirits to leave humans alone so long as they took care of the physical world. And of course, humans did not live up to their end of the deal. As a result, spirits wound up committing a lot of violence against humans who broke their oaths. This in turn created a huge mess for the next Avatar, Kuruk, to clean up. We discover in the Kyoshi novels that Avatar Kuruk would end up spending most of his short life fighting the dark spirits empowered by Yang Chen's decisions. Finally, let's skip forward to Avatar Korra, who might just have been the avatar to fail the most at this one. At the end of The Legend of Korra Season 2, Korra is subdued by her uncle Unalaq, who's merged with the dark spirit Vatu. Unalaq is able to rip the avatar spirit Rava from Korra's body, severing her connection to the past avatars forever. Thousands of years worth of knowledge snuffed out in an instant. Additionally, during this battle, we witness a world-shifting event called the Harmonic Convergence. Basically, a portal opens between the spirit and human worlds, allowing people and spirits to pass freely between them. At the end of it, Korra decides to keep the portals to the spirit world open, a decision that reverses the stance of the very first Avatar and fatefully combines the human and spirit worlds. At first glance, it seems brilliant, right? Wouldn't the peaceful coexistence between humans...
I mean, at first, but then you're gonna have to consider when the next Avatar is gonna be, like, around and all that, because that would mean that, well, let's put it this way. If people start finding this spirits, then we have a whole other mess to deal with. And that's only that theory, because
spirits create a more meaningful bond between them? Well,
No.
not necessarily. The unforeseen consequence of these two vastly different worlds colliding is complicated and really doesn't scream balance. First, the overlapping geographies of the world create huge territory issues. Houses in Republic City are overrun by vines, and entire city blocks are destabilized. Doesn't matter if you're a bender or a non-bender. Finding your living room destroyed and your building about to collapse is definitely on the list of top 5 worst breakfast time surprises. And second, harmonic convergence gives Zahir, one of the most dangerous warriors in the world, the power of airbending, which he promptly uses to start assassinating world leaders and throw the world out of balance. I'm gonna chalk that one up as a big oopsie there, Korra. When you stop and look at the totality of what we know about the avatars, one thing becomes clear time and time again. This is a vicious cycle. Every single one of these avatars dealt with difficult issues, but their solutions just wound up creating more problems for the immediate successor. Zito focused too much on his own country. Yang Chen has to deal with and break down isolationist policies. Yang Chen helps make peace between the 4 nations, but at the cost of angering the spirits. Well, Kuruk has to spend his life battling dark spirits and winds up neglecting the real-world nations. Kuruk dies early in battle with spirits, leaving an unstable political situation. Kyoshi creates a secret police to try and paper over the problems of her country. Roku shows favoritism to his home nation. Aang has to deal with a century-long war and the death of his entire people. All of them ignore non-benders. Korra has to deal with the fallout and the equalists. The Avatar Avatar cycle is a cycle of violence. It is a broken system. And honestly, that makes perfect sense. Ask yourself, why does the Avatar have to have a monopoly on balance in this world? The very concept of the Avatar is imbalanced. At the end of the day, the Avatars possess the power of a god. Literally, a god of light. But they're still only humans. Aang was a 12-year-old kid faced with solving a 100-year-old war. Kyoshi was a poor orphan. Eventually, she's gonna defend her home so it wasn't ripped away again. Roku was friends with Sozin. Of course, he's gonna be slow to action and more lenient in his judgment. One person holding that much power, that much influence, it's a recipe for disaster. I feel like I've heard this somewhere before.
With great power comes great responsibility.
In the end, the really successful avatars, or maybe the least unsuccessful avatars, are the ones that don't do it alone. Aang saves the world from Fire Lord Ozai because he trusts his friends to help get the job done. Sokka, Toph, Suki, Zuko, and Katara are all off playing key parts in stopping the Fire Nation, while Aang has his rad Dragon Ball Z fight against Ozai. And those friends are just as essential after the war in helping him restore balance too. His friends help make and keep the international peace all in ways that Aang wouldn't be able to do on his own.
That is true. Because all the other avatars did solo. They didn't involve friends, they didn't involve other people, they didn't form like this great deep bond that Aang did. So maybe it is okay that he disappeared for 100 years. Because if he didn't, well, the cycle will just repeat itself. And they would have to deal with all this other stuff, and it would just be the same thing over and over again. So maybe Aang neglecting his duty at that one time when he found out he was the Avatar was an good thing.
It just goes to show that controlling all the elements in this world is meaningless if you don't also control the element of friendship. But hey, if you want more Avatar The Last Airbender content right now, go check out our previous theory talking about the science of waterbending. Yeah, believe it or not, but what you see Katara and Aang doing in the series isn't that far out of the realm of possibility. Or, if you want something a little different, I actually teamed up with Nickelodeon themselves and did a video breaking down whether or not a creature as big as Appa could actually fly. It's different, but it was a really fun collab with the people who made this show happen in the first place. As always, don't forget to subscribe.
Oh, that's really cool.
All that new Avatar content, you know we're gonna have a ton more to cover here on the channel. But until then, my friends, remember, it's all just a theory. A film!
Alright. With this all said, let's discuss this matter. Now, yeah, I agree that the Avatar cycle is one that probably shouldn't continue anymore. Because at this point, there's not a lot of good that came with it. I mean, things only started to get better after Aang actually did something. Every other Avatar failed. And Roku just didn't stop the guy to make the 100-year war. I understand it's his best friend and all that, but still, 100-year war, that's kinda on him. And a lot of this stuff is just basically the main fact that the Avatar was there. The Avatar is there, they can do this, they can do that, and all this and all that. It's not really a key, ideal situation to deal with. Because let's put it this way. No one can do one thing by themselves. And the Avatar duty is one thing no one can completely do. Because, well, let's put it this way. 4 main tasks, and it took Aang and Korra to kind of fix it. Brought peace within all the nations. They did. Aang did that. Brought them together. And Korra tried to bring together inner peace with all the... Kind of succeeded in that, because... I mean, technically, well... I don't think I need to explain it, because it was already explained, but if you want to see the reasoning, check out The Legend of Korra. It should be on Netflix. But still... Korra did a... well... she did better than Kyoshi. Yeah, Kyoshi. I keep getting these names wrong. But yeah, she did better than Kyoshi, so... Because no one can fail worse than that. Ugh. And Aang tried to do better on the spiritual side, so... somewhat decent job there. Korra did also a somewhat decent job to a degree, but no. No. Because I can see the spirit world and, human world? I don't know. Physical world? I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember the whole term used. But, yeah, not really something to go on about. So, what does this lead to? Are they good? Are they great? Are they amazing? No, they're terrible at their job. You may think otherwise, but no. The avatars did terrible at their job. Plus, there's also the fact that some people just are either waiting for the avatar or just gave up when the avatar didn't, like, appear. The fact that there are people reliant on the avatar isn't really something one should really go, let's wait for this guy or girl or something and they'll take care of the problem. No, that doesn't help the problem at all. It just helps support the fact that the cycle is needed in some way. And then if you go into the fact of, well... I had a point, I just forgot it. Always at this point, I forget something. But still, a lot of them aren't really good and all that. And the fact that people are just relying on this system isn't really truly the best method. Oh wait, now I remember. There was this one guy in Avatar: The Last Airbender who was thinking that Aang could, like, take out the Fire Lord just by going to the Avatar state, but no. No, he just wanted Aang to skip many parts, go kill the Fire Lord, and just, like, end it all. But in truth, that could actually just have killed him and made the next Avatar's job even harder. Because it's easy to do waterbending, earthbending, and can get firebending, but the fact that Aang was the last airbender means he has to be very, very cautious. Because he's the last airbender. He fails at air. If he fails, then the cycle would technically be destroyed. Because there wouldn't be an airbender left. And yeah, next Avatar will have to rely on earth, fire, and waterbending just to win the war. Without help from the airbending side. And if they decide to think, oh, we'll just end up killing waterbenders and boom, 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 waterbenders gone. They're gone. And that waterbender just dies and bam, then the next Avatar after that has to rely on earth and firebending. Which is even worse. Because, yeah, overall, relying on a system that's as the Avatar cycle is pretty dull. It's a broken cycle that's just like, we need the Avatar, we need to rely on the Avatar will have this amazing power that we should make them use to solve all the problems. No. No. That's just another thing to add that's annoying. But with all this said, hope you'll enjoy. If you did, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided. Tell me what you think about the Avatar cycle in whole, if you have seen the series, in the comment section down below. Again, other than that, the link to this video will be down in the description below, so be sure to give Phil and Derry some love and support. But besides all that, I'll see you all next time. Bye!